Hello guys, today I'm going to be doing a video on Batman Arkham City with the Steam Deck. I'm going to be starting it off with 800p on the lowest settings. This game has its own client for the settings menu, so I'll show a screenshot of the settings as we go through. Alright, I guess we're playing as Catwoman to start it off. Now this game has a 60 FPS cap by default, so even if you uncap the FPS in the Steam menu, it will still be at 60 FPS regardless. You have to go in the config files of the game to be able to actually go above 60. So I've gone ahead and done that. And now we're getting around 120 FPS at the lowest settings. It's a pretty great start. The game looks quite decent as well, maybe a bit pixelated at times. From what I remember, this game had a lot of stuttering issues when I was swinging around. So I'm going to try and do that as much as I can. And we can see if we get any really bad lag spikes. Ooh, someone's down here. Let's go and try to fight them. So we do get a couple of stutters here, but it's not too bad. It's happening occasionally. Drop attack? Well, that was close. Which one of them has guns? I think this guy on the right does, so let's go and jump on him real quick.
That's bullcrap.
Oh, you got it. Knock that, buddy. During combat, we're having no issues at all. The game is running perfectly smooth. And FPS is ranging between the 90s to the low 100s. Knock this guy out real quick as well. There we go. Whoa! What was that? There you go. Get this guy as well. Holding the combo down real well. Ooh. I lost the combo. Whew. There we go. You are dead. So performance at the low settings is really nice. We're pulling around 8 watts of power for the CPU and only 2 watts of power for the GPU. So it's far more CPU intensive than GPU intensive. And as we go up through the settings, we should see this flip and the game should become more GPU intensive than CPU intensive. Alright, so now playing the game at medium settings. We don't really get a lot of extra features at medium. It's very similar to the low settings. But now we do get dynamic shadows and I've actually enabled anti-aliasing as well. We're using FXAA at medium. So the game shouldn't look too different, but should be a slight improvement in quality. Let's jump this guy on the left. And then try to sneak on the guy on the right. No, he heard me. Alright, I'm out of here. Hey. Hey, how you gonna find me? I forgot all the controls in this game, unfortunately, but I still know how to knock him out. There we go, get this guy out of here. So FPS is about the same, sitting in the low 100s and then dropping down to the 90s occasionally. The game is definitely stuttering here. Whoa, that was glitchy. We had an FPS dip into the 70s there for a second, and the game was stuttering quite heavily. It's pretty much every time I swing, the game is starting to stutter now, which is interesting to see. This wasn't the case before. It did stutter occasionally on low settings still, but it wasn't as aggressive as what it is right now. Every time I swing, every time I press RB to swing, it just, there's a little bit of a stutter that happens. Alright, let's kill this guy real quick. Hey, where are you going? Going to heaven, that's where you're going. See you later, buddy. So let's go and climb back up. And I'm gonna swing across from here. So can I look? Ready? 3, 2, 1. One stutter there as soon as I swing. You see it on the frame time graph. Let's do it again. Let's come up here. Yeah, that one was quite smooth. Where are these guys? Oh, there they are. That was a very major stutter, but as you can see, FPS is falling to the 70s, so I guess a 60 FPS cap should actually fix this problem. And that's why the game probably is capped to 60 by default, so it would avoid any of those stutters that could happen.
What's she doing here?
Nothing. Knock you out. You're dead. Uh-oh, he's reloading his gun. No, no you don't. Put the gun down, buddy. Knock this guy out. Put the gun down. What did I say, dude? Put the gun down, man. Final time I'm gonna tell you. No, I couldn't dodge it. I'm so bad. So yeah, even at medium settings we can play at 100 FPS, pretty much for the most part. with occasional dips into the 70s. Those stutters are kind of annoying to be honest, but if you want to play the game at a higher refresh rate or maybe a bigger monitor, then this is obviously doable. Alright, playing the game at the high settings, and as you can see, GPU usage has gone all the way up to 7 watts from like 2 watts at medium and low settings, and CPU has dropped down to 4 to 5 watts, so a definite decrease on the CPU side, but a giant increase on the GPU side. And FPS is still sitting in the 90s, which is fantastic to see. I've gone ahead and switched to Batman so we can actually start gliding around, which should be easier to spot any stuttering or any lag spikes that would occur from traveling through the map. But so far we're sitting... Ooh, what's up dude? Oh no. No, what are you doing? Hey. Later dude. But yeah, so far the FPS is averaging around 75 to 80-ish. But while roaming around we're sitting in the 90s quite easily. So let's go and find some enemies to fight. I see our next victim right there. Who is that?
I have been watching
Oh,
you,
dude.
Batman,
Mysterious Watcher.
to see if you are ready.
Well, I'm not ready. I'm actually out of here. While gliding, we're ranging between the mid-60s all the way into the mid-70s.
It's Batman.
What's up, dude? I know you're a big fan. What's going on? Oh yeah, okay, I see. Alright, buddy. And you're done. So I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and cap the FPS to 60. And let's see if we're going to experience any stuttering with the capped FPS. Alright, so far so good. We haven't had one yet. Oh, no, we definitely are getting them. Dropping down to the 50s at this point. But as you can see, power draw has dropped all the way down to 2.5 watts on the GPU and around 1.5 to 4 watts on the CPU. Okay, so we're playing the game at the ultra settings now. Okay, gliding around feels quite fine. FPS is sitting between the mid 50s all the way up into the low 60s. Seems to be a power limit issue more than anything. The CPU is trying to get more power and the GPU is pretty much taking all of it. But that's fine. Stuttering a little bit while we're coming down. Now let's get into some fighting. You're dead. No, I shouldn't couldn't counter that properly. You were dead. Nope. Come on, what am I doing? Why are you trying to run, bud? Whoa, put that down. Okay. Just dropped the box on his head. Amazing. So Ultra Preset is playable, I guess, for the most part. The stuttering is a bit aggressive at times, but you can definitely play like this if you really want the extra features and the extra, I guess, quality improvements. But I think for me, the high settings is the way to go. Now playing the game at the optimized settings, I'm going to have 3 portions to this section, I guess. 30 FPS cap, 60 FPS cap, and the on-cap frame rate. And the Steam Deck's also unplugged as well, so I can see how much power it's drawing. But starting off at 30 FPS, we're pulling around 10 watts of power. And I think it's going, no, okay, it's not going down. But it is staying around 10.3 to 10.4 watts. That was a pretty big stutter right there. We are playing the game at a mix of high to very high settings. This game is I guess an older game at this point, so we can definitely get away with pushing the settings up. They can obviously go ahead and use a 40 FPS cap instead of a 30 FPS cap, and your power draw shouldn't be too much higher than this. But at 30 FPS the game feels quite fine. Doesn't feel as smooth or as responsive as 40 to 60 FPS, but it's definitely still very usable. Alright, at 60 FPS we're pulling around 15 watts of power, which is now under 3 hours of battery life. The game definitely feels far more responsive when you compare it to the 30 FPS mode, but the hit to battery life isn't really worth it in my opinion. And all the stuff that I said at 30 FPS will be applied to 60 FPS mode as well. So depending on where you are and what you're doing, that will impact your battery life quite heavily. Oh, I couldn't execute that guy. What's going on? I can't actually hit him. What? Come on, Batman. Take care of him. Uh oh, he's reloading. Put the gun down. Alright, and finally, for the uncapped frame rate, I don't think anyone's going to be using this, especially when unplugged, but let's just show it off anyway. We're going to be sitting at 85 FPS. And the power draw should go all the way up to 26 watts, which will give us a little bit under 2 hours, which is not too bad to be honest for having the FPS uncapped. but I don't really recommend playing like this portably anyway. But I just want to show you guys how it will run with these settings. Now in dock mode, we're playing the game at 1080p with the optimized settings, which is a mix of high to very high settings. We're getting around 50 FPS on average. It's quite good, but we can obviously go ahead and lower the settings or play at 900p to get a free FPS bump. Hold on a second, let me take care of this guy real quick. I'm guessing most people want to get 60 FPS in this game in dock mode, so I'm gonna go ahead and test out 900p as well as 1080p. But so far the game is running beautifully. We're getting a couple stutters like before, but FPS is ranging between the low 40s all the way up into the low 50s. Occasionally we can get 60 FPS, but really depends on where we're looking. In those lighter areas, 60 FPS is definitely doable, but on average, I think 40 FPS is where you're going to be sitting. Alright, after a quick restart, we're playing the game at 900p, using FSR to upscale to 1080p, and as you can see, we pretty much gained a free 20 FPS boost by just doing so. Same settings as before, a mix of high to very high settings, but FPS is far higher. Went from the 40s all the way up into the 60s and 70s. Okay, we're getting some FPS dips right here into the high 40s and 50s. You can go ahead and lower the settings to medium and high settings from what it is right now, and gain a bit more performance to have a locked 60 FPS experience. But I think for most people this is a great FPS range and a fine experience overall. And finally, I'm going to be testing out the SD card performance of this game, and I'll be using a SanDisk Ultra as well, so just keep that in mind. And we're mainly looking for any stuttering or any extra stuttering that is caused by the SD card. But if I was going to guess, this game should run perfectly smooth with the SD card, since it is a PS3/Xbox 360 game, and the loading times were actually really fast as well on the SD card. I thought it would take a couple seconds longer, but it honestly felt very quick on the SD card versus the SSD. So yeah, overall the game is running beautifully on the SD card. We didn't really get any extra stuttering or lag spikes that was due to the SD card. So overall for Batman Arkham City, you can play the game at high/very high settings with really good frames, and you can play the game off the internal SSD or an SD card and have a great time overall. Alright, that's pretty much it guys. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time for the next video. See you guys then.